Welcome back to another I'm a Celeb recap episode, and today we've got a trial to talk about, a dingo dollar challenge to talk about, and a shocking quit from the series from someone that I wouldn't have expected. But there's a lot to unpack and a lot to break down, so let's jump straight in. So I'm going to start by talking about the trial, and it was called Fishy Business, and I gotta say, not as bad as I was expecting, and I don't think it's as bad as some of the other challenges that we've had in the past. I really do genuinely believe that this year the trials have not been as tough and as sort of difficult as they usually are. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. Of course, all of my opinions are just as a viewer watching. I haven't actually done any of these trials. I don't know how hard it is. But I do think that like previous years have had much harder challenges. Like there was a challenge last year where I think it was Matt Hancock and I can't even remember the other person that did it, but they were completely in the dark crawling through tunnels and they had to like find stars just by like feeling around. I feel like that's a lot harder than most of the challenges that we've had this series. So I don't know. I don't know whether it's a case of like they're wanting to make it easier or I don't know. Maybe the creativity's gone a little bit because this one was a little bit dull, but also I feel like Sam made it entertaining and made it exciting. So Sam and Nella were going to the trial. Sam was extremely excited to do the trial because this is something that he's dreamed of doing for ages, I guess, like because obviously he's a long time fan of Ant and Dec and the show, so like this is kind of like a dream come true. And for Nella Rose, this is her fourth time doing a trial, so she's kind of just like I don't want to do it. And like she was very, very reserved and very sort of, I want to say, weathered, because she doesn't seem to have that same pep and vigor that she did at the start of this show. So I think that jungle life is definitely taking a toll on her. Whereas with Sam, oh my god, it's crazy. He's such a genuinely lovely person. Golden Labrador of a human. Golden Labrador? Golden Retriever of a human, as some people have been pointing out. And I just think he's a genuinely, genuinely lovely person. The trial itself, like I said, was not very difficult. They were split into two sections. Nella had to swim underwater and go into like this little place where I think she could sit down and she could have a rest, but there were obviously like water spiders in there. And all she had to do was read out quiz questions, and Sam then had to swim into like there were different like sort of air pockets around in which he had to swim up and like lick a star off. And then if that answer was correct, then they got the star. And I'm pretty sure he got all of the questions correct, or I think he got one or two wrong potentially. But like he was guessing an awful lot, and there were some good guesses in there. I really was not expecting that. And I think that's testament to sort of how he approaches the challenges, because most of the time he did not have a clue and he was just guessing. So the idea is that there were different air pockets. There was like a clownfish, a jellyfish, a stingray, a lobster, and a crab. And in each of them was like a different nasty thing. One of them was toads, one of them was yabbies, one of them was other things. And for the most part, it looked uncomfortable, but it didn't look difficult, if you get what I mean. Like, it looked like it was feasible. I think the hardest part of this challenge was making sure you got the quiz questions right, because they were asking some questions that even I didn't know. Like there was one where it was a fever, a group of what sea animal is called a fever. I wouldn't have been able to guess. I would have guessed like a fever of jellyfish potentially. I don't know. Apparently it's a fever of stingrays. Yeah. So Sam guessed that and got it correct. I was kind of blown away. Maybe he knows more about the ocean than I think he does, but he did not seem certain on most of those answers. And there was even one point where he said the answer and Ant and Dec went yes before he had actually like got into the hole and then went, you're gonna have to find out when you get there. And it was actually, it was really funny. I think Ant and Dec are very, very good hosts, because as much as they revel in the sort of misery that the celebrities are put through, they also 100% support them. It does feel genuine in their support, so you can't argue with that. But yeah, it was a good trial. They managed to get 10 out of 12 stars, which I thought was quite miraculous, because like I said, I didn't know most of the questions. I think I would have really struggled with that aspect of the challenge, but can't fault Sam. He really dove straight in, literally. He was also doing, like, he spoke about how he does like a weird swimming technique called the squid, and it's just basically like, and it oh, I look like a right melon on camera. Oh no. Oh well. But yeah, I let me see if there's anything else. I don't think so. Oh yeah, Sam was basically like, oh, I just wanted to make you proud to Ant and Dec, and he just. I know I've said in the past that I want Josie to win, but in that moment I was like, oh my god, if Sam wins, he's actually gonna he will never ever let anyone forget that, because that'll be his proudest achievement, that he won I'm a Celeb. Oh, can we make it happen? Can we please vote him to win? Oh my god, he's so sweet. Once again, Tony is proving that he is actually a very, very interesting guy, and he's got a lot of interesting stories to tell, which I thought was nice. He sat down with Jamie Lynn Spears in this episode, and they basically were having a conversation about his career, about sort of how he approaches boxing, how he treats boxing, and it was really quite an emotional chat, I thought. Maybe not for him, but watching it was like, oh damn, this guy, like, for such a big boxer, he's got incredibly little self-worth. And like he said something on the lines of like he looked up to Mike Tyson, and then Jamie was saying something on the lines of like, oh, like people surely look up to you, and he said something on the lines of like, I don't feel I've done anything worthy of being looked up to, which I just think is really heartbreaking, because you you spend your life committed to boxing and sort of being a boxer, and you don't feel like you've got like you've made a dent in the world. That's so sad. Like, genuinely, I was like, oh my god, that's so heartbreaking. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. But he's got a fan in Sam. Sam absolutely adores this guy, and he came over and he was like, "Oh, can I just touch your hand?" Oh, Sam is so sweet and so lovely, and he's just so adorable. Oh, I just want to give him a hug. And then Fred was like, "Oh, you should ask him to knock you out." And Sam was like, "What? No, because that would mean I'd have to go home." Oh, I feel like Fred was really trying to sort of like meddle there, which was quite funny. But yeah, yeah, it was a nice moment between Tony and Jamie Lynn. So yeah. I thought there was a really, really interesting conversation about from Marvin about how he and Rochelle got pregnant because he just flew out to New York for one night, and they basically slept together, and that's how they had their baby. Once again, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it was just an interesting conversation that happened. And Nella Rose, I can't remember who the other person was. Wasn't Josie? Was it Danielle? I think it was those two. And their reactions to the story just made it hilarious. And I think it was actually quite a sweet story. I'm really enjoying Marvin. He's not the most outgoing, not the most sort of boisterous character, but like when he has those like small moments, he is really sweet, and I do like him. Frankie was telling a story about his parents, and from what I gathered, his dad was a jockey and his mum was in the circus as like a trapeze artist, and his like family grew up in the circus or something like that. I don't really know. Like, it was a very small moment, and I just noted down Frankie's mum was in the circus. So like I thought it was an interesting conversation, but I don't know. He he is probably my least favorite currently, just because like we don't get much screen time with him, and I don't think he's that entertaining, which is a bit deep to say, but I mean it's an opinion, I guess, so I can have it. The Dingo Dollar Challenge was actually weird. I thought it was strange. So Frankie and Nick rocked up at this like milk factory thing, and they had like a milk cart, and they had to pull a lever which poured milk onto the like milk cart, and then they had to drive the milk cart over to the bottles and then fill the bottles up to the brim with milk. Now, I've got two questions about this. Firstly, was it actually milk? Because if it was actually milk, that is disgusting. And oh my god, like the milk was sloshing over them. They were soaked by the end. They must have stunk, like genuinely reeked of milk. And that, no, surely not. Surely that could not have happened. No, surely not. But and then my second question was, why? I don't get the challenge. Like it did seem like there were parts that we were missing, because they went from like really really struggling to suddenly the bottles were all filled up, and I was like, huh? But that might just be down to the editing. I don't know how long they were out there for. I wish that they sort of did what Big Brother does and sort of put like the time at the bottom, like for every time there's like a time jump, because I don't believe that they did that in 10 minutes. No way. I'm sure it took them like a couple of hours potentially. No, not a couple of hours, probably an hour. But like I don't believe that they did it in like 5-10 minutes like the episode made out. But they did it, and they got the dingo dollars, and they went to Kiosk Kev, his like ice cream van, and oh, this is the second dingo dollar challenge of the series, right? Do you remember back in the day when it used to be like crisps and like, oh, what else they used to have? Strawberries and cream, that infamous strawberry gate, yep. What else did they used to have? Like jelly beans. Do you want to know what the prize was today? Milk bottles. Like the Haribo milk bottles that everyone hates. I do not know a single person that would willingly eat them. I'll eat them if they're in a packet of Super Mix. I don't like Super Mix that much because I don't think that's a very good mix of sweets. I prefer Star Mix or Tangfastics. But who goes out of their way to genuinely like the milk bottles? I would have rather had a bottle of milk and everyone has some like warm milk. That would have been a lot better than fucking sweets. But it didn't matter anyway, because the camp got the question wrong. And I've got to say, never thought I'd say this, but I agreed with Nigel Farage. That was a low moment in my life, I gotta say. But the question was, which of these things didn't happen to Nick's character on Hollyoaks? And immediately Josie's been like, oh, he's been there since 1990 something. But the options were jumped off a cliff to escape a drug lord, his child was switched at birth, and he opened a balloon shop which later exploded. Now. The first two are ludicrous, but they are soap plot lines. That is the kind of thing that a soap would do. The last one's just very ludicrous. A balloon shop that then exploded. Immediately, I heard that and I went, oh, it's that one, surely. I've never seen an episode of Hollyoaks. I know nothing about Hollyoaks. I didn't even know who Nick Pickard was before he came into the jungle. However, I know he's definitely not opened a balloon shop and then it exploded. Like, come on. And then Fred was like, oh, let's do a democracy vote. And they went for the switched at birth. That's happened so many times on soaps. How did people not think that was something that could have happened? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to rationalize their thought system, but like their thought system was wrong. But then again, this is the second time that they came back from a Dingo Dollar Challenge having lost, and they said what the prize was, and everyone went, "Oh, well, okay." No one was genuinely gutted that they didn't have the fucking milk sweet bottle. Do you know what I mean? Ugh. And we come to the public vote, and the public vote for, I don't even remember what it was called, like the high wire up in the sky, whatever it was called. Josie and Grace were chosen by the public. However, waking up this morning, I found out that Grace has unfortunately had to withdraw from I'm a Celebrity because of medical concerns or medical reasons. I don't know. I have to admit, she's been looking miserable in camp, like really, really depressed. And I wonder whether that's got something to do with it, or I wonder whether she's injured herself, or whether she just walked. I don't think she walked, because I think they would have said she walked, or they would have just shown it on the show rather than announcing it beforehand. But it also means that someone else is going to have to do the trial with Josie. I vote Fred. Can we get Fred and Josie to do a trial, please? Because then that means everyone has done at least one trial. Wait, Danielle hasn't done a trial. Oh, okay, there's 3 of them. I forgot about Danielle. Whoops. I don't think Nick's properly done one either, actually, now I'm thinking about it. No, Nick did the first one with Jamie, Lynn, and Marvin. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they explain Grace's departure in this episode. But I gotta say, out of the 12 campmates, I did not expect Grace to be the one to leave first. Maybe in the public vote, but definitely not before the vote opens. Do you know what I mean? But either way, thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode of I'm a Celeb Review. Looks like it's going to be a dramatic episode. I'm excited to see Josie take on the trial. And yeah, apart from that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Keep on ranting. Bye now.